I'd like to introduce our chief guest, Honorable Minister of Health and Family Welfare, Government of Karnataka, Mr. Dinesh Gundu Rao ji, to the dais. He is in charge of All India Congress Committee of Tamil Nadu and Puducherry. Previously, he is the president of Karnataka Pradesh Congress Committee and a member of Karnataka Legislative Assembly. We are honored to have here you with us, sir. And now I'd like to call upon Ms. Sarika Agarwal, Mr. Ramesh Agarwal, and Mr. Shri Sachidev Dipender Joshi to the stage, please. I'd request Mr. Ramesh Agarwal to honor Mr. Dinesh Gundu Rao ji, Honorable Minister of Health and Family Welfare, Government of Karnataka. We are very honored to have you here with us, sir. Please welcome to the stage. I'd like to, could you please share a few words to the audience? Over to you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for inviting me for this very important program, Connecting India for Safer Food. All the dignitaries on the dais and all the people who have come to take part in this conclave to discuss various aspects of food safety and why food safety is very important today. As you very well know, food is a major component of anybody's good health and well-being. And the kind of food we eat and the type of food we eat becomes very important, and it's playing a very big role in a person's issues concerning their health. And for us looking after the health ministry in Karnataka and the health of the people, public health is a very important aspect of our department. And how our main focus is also not only in just curing people who get ill, but also how we can prevent people from getting ill or becoming unhealthy. So when it comes to that, I think one of the biggest players in that aspect is food. There are waterborne diseases, there are environmental issues that affect a person's life, there are issues of their lifestyle in terms of exercise and how they lead their daily living. So all these has an impact on a person's health. So along with that, food is very much connected to health, and like what we were just saw briefly, the lady speaking about being able to handle food in a hygienic way. I think how we can help food maintain good hygiene and good standards. So what we are seeing today is there's a huge, of course India's population is huge, and today people are working more and more. Both the man and the woman of the house is working. So they go out in the morning, come back in the evening. And earlier we used to see that a lot of preparation used to take place in the house. Cooking used to take place in the house. But the culture of the way we consume food is changing. And more dependence on packaged foods, processed foods, and outside food. So this is, the dependence on this is becoming more and more. Earlier, if you would buy vegetables from the market or buy meats from the local butcher shop, bring it home, clean it, prepare it, that was, you had more control over the food that you were eating. And on the hygiene was directly connected to you, apart from the quality of the food itself, apart from the quality of the vegetable itself. And whether that vegetable or whether that particular grains are prepared with least amount of pesticides or whatever. Apart from that, the rest of the control was with you. But when it comes to food that is packaged and processed and prepared outside, then the question of good standards become more and more important. And how do we maintain those standards? How do we ensure that wrong kinds of chemicals or wrong kinds of coloring agents are not being used? How do we ensure those basic standards are maintained, especially in a country like India, where it's very difficult to, the biggest problem that we face is the regulatory mechanism, and how we can ensure that all standards are being maintained, right from the starting of preparation to the processing to storage and then finally the distribution. So all these different components with not very effective maintenance of standards, it's left, sometimes the consumer will not know, even though the food may be looking good, packed good, but whether it has been maintained to the absolute high standards that it proclaims. So these are the things that as a government, the regulatory mechanism, you have to make it more effective. And that is something that we are also working on. Our food safety, FSSAI, it's a national act, and every state also has got its units in departments are there. And we are now trying to see how we can make this more effective, how we can go around and see, checking at various levels, at various stages, and ensure that those standards are being maintained and no hazardous or contaminated or badly prepared food is being supplied. So I think that it becomes a very important aspect for us, and this food safety is now becoming more and more and more important, and the government's role also is becoming more important, and industries also, how do they maintain standards, how they maintain the quality, all that is also becoming more important. So definitely I think a conclave like this, where you bring in a lot of different companies and experts to discuss and see that how we can propagate best practices, how we can ensure that people are aware that these are the kind of technologies that are available, and technologies that can be scaled to a level where it becomes affordable, and so that even small industries, small companies can use good high-end technologies so that it also works out at the economics of it. So all these things are I think very important, and also the starting point, of course, is from the agricultural sector, from the farm, where it is grown, where it is produced, whether it is agriculture or dairy or meat, animal husbandry, water, all those things. So it is from the farm to the table. So that whole process needs attention, needs focus, and bring awareness amongst the consumers also, that what you should look out for, what you need to look out for when you're buying a food, and what are the good things and bad things. So these are, subjects that are being discussed at the level of WHO and all governments of the kinds of food that are being packaged. How do we warn, like when we buy a packet of cigarettes, you're warned that this cigarette is going to be injurious to health, right? People will still buy, but at least we are able to communicate to them that this food is going to cause damage to your health. Like that, there are so many foods today which will cause damage to your health. When it's all these high salt intake foods, high sugars, and ultra processed foods where a lot of chemicals are used to keep the food, to make the food last long and to be able to survive that period. So these are all injurious to health. So we need to be able to communicate to the consumer that this food is, I would say, either we can have a color-coded system, and this is a red one, this is a dangerous one, this is not good for health. There are some certain things which are in the medium range. This communication has to happen because the evidence is there, the proof is there that these foods cause major damages to our health if consumed regularly in a long-term basis. So, but problem for us is also the food processing and the food industry is a very powerful lobby, and the lobby works at in various ways of controlling the regulatory laws. And I've been also trying to look at this act, and unfortunately it is also a Government of India act. I cannot directly make any rule here unless the Government of India decides it. And we've been pushing them, saying that let us, be able to, ultimately it is the question of the health of our people. And for India, our biggest resources is not our mines, not our minerals, not our ores, not our forests. I think the biggest resource that we have is our humans. So if these people are not healthy, and if you don't take care of their health, they become less productive and they become less efficient. And that is the the ultimate. If India has to become a superpower or a world-beating nation, then good education and good health is most important. If you don't have that, then everything gets affected. The lifespan gets affected, the productivity gets affected, the mental brain power gets affected, and everything gets affected. So we've been trying to push, but still I don't think we've reached that level of being able to get all the laws that we need, and hopefully in the days to come there'll be better pressure groups that will build and ensure that more effective laws will come. But along with it's not just effective laws, it's also the effective implementation of those laws. We can have great acts and laws be made, but how do we see that is implemented properly and effectively, and it's followed to its letter and spirit? So these are the challenges that we are facing. Definitely, as a health minister, our department is trying to ensure better surveillance, better inspections, find out where things are going wrong. And recently also we did a few surveys where we found out that things that were being used in cotton candy, things that were being used in food products like gobi Manchurian and kebabs and all those food items, using a lot of coloring agents which they're not supposed to use. Carcinogenic agents were being used, and ultimately we banned them also. But even despite bans, usage does take place. But at least we made people aware of it. So now if you see, I don't see, if you go around, this pink candy you will not see anymore. Because they stopped adding that pink was actually the problem, because that coloring agent in the candy which was pink was the carcinogenic item that they were using. So like that, we are also trying to become better at regulation and better at finding out how things are being made and being produced, and also to see that how we can improve our laws and how we can educate our people. And that is most important, I think. Educate our people of the value of good quality food and the value of paying attention to nutrition. So these are the things that we are working on. So I'm sure this India Food Safety Conclave that is taking place here with many partners who have come over here. I just saw some of the stalls, and many of them it was very interesting to listen to them, and I think we've called a lot of experts over here. I'm sure that this will help in propagating and also ensuring proper implementation of good safety standards in the country and in our state. And for that, whatever support and help and anything that you require from the Government of India, Government of Karnataka, I am there with you. And I'm in a t-shirt today, and you may be wondering why I've come so casually like this. Today was a International Yoga Day, so we had a yoga program and all that. So I was wearing a yoga t-shirt, and that's why I've come straight. I've finished that and then had a small meeting and I've come straight here. But I think yoga, food, health, fitness, it all comes into one full overall ambit of good health for the nation. All these things are contributing factors to the good health of the people. And so I'm sure that this conclave will add to that, and any support from us, definitely we are there with you. And after this conclave is over, whatever suggestions you have or whatever inputs you have for us, definitely you can come and meet me separately, and we can discuss those things and see how we can do things which are good for the industry and for the people. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. We are honored to have you here, and thank you so much for making the time out of your busy schedule. I'd like to invite Mr. Ramesh Agarwal to honor our Health Minister.
All right, thank you. So I just want to take this moment to kind of highlight some of the things to the Honorable Minister. I think World Food Safety Day was the 7th of June. So we tried to put this together close to that. So we do run a lot of programs which are consumer awareness. As a business, I think what we are trying to do is providing the service. We realize that in the small and medium, so the large enterprises have their own in-house teams which do their own in-house stuff, but the small and the medium enterprises are the ones that struggle. So then we provide services with them, so we disaggregate and we kind of help them make it affordable. It is not cheap. I wouldn't call it cheap, but it is affordable for them to be able to get access to services like this, so they understand what is there in the ingredient. Since you talked about the ban, we also had some inputs coming. A lot of people came back and asked us to test the products, saying, does this contain the right color? So that has had an effect, where people have come back and tried to comply. So in terms of compliance, I don't think there's a mix of a lot of things. There is the awareness. I think a lot of people are not aware. What I say is FSSAI is a new regulator in that sense, right? We've just been about for 14 years. And we are just about barely starting to understand that you need a license. I think a lot of people have just gotten that into the mind just now. So through a lot of knowledge and expertise in the room, we are trying to kind of further this. I specifically want to introduce our mentors for the program, and we would like to request them to come on the stage because they are really the brain power. So we'd request, starting with Dr. Shashikant Kunigal. Sir used to head the corporate quality function at Britannia before he joined the CII, and then he's now been helping us with some of these. Dr. Lalita Gowda, ma'am. So she's a chief scientist. She's a retired chief scientist at CFTRI, as in the biggest brand that we have for food and safety and regulation and compliance. She's our guiding force in all of our regulatory and compliance things. Dr. Balkumar Marthi, he couldn't come here. He felt unwell. Hopefully it was not because of food poisoning. He did try, he said that, but he wasn't very well, so he couldn't make it. And finally, Srinivas K.R., we'd like to invite you to kind of... So Srinivas K.R. is the Vice President of Corporate Quality at Metro Cash and Carry. And last but not least, Dr. Mridul Salgame. So ma'am was on the FSSAI panel for regulatory standards, expert committee panel. Of course, she's one of the pioneers in this space. Anybody who's learned consulting, they would have met her sometime or the other for sure. So she started IAD-FAC. For people who are in Bangalore, they would know the lab very well. So ma'am is founder of that. So I just wanted to kind of have everybody on stage to make sure that it is really their energy and brain which makes this happen. We are just here as a channel trying to kind of bring everybody together. So a huge round of applause for everybody on here. And we just requested the Honorable Minister if he would take questions. He agreed. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask questions. He says he's not a technical expert, so don't ask him technical questions. But otherwise, you can ask him. Do not ask him things about what was the color that went inside the candy. I will rule that out. He said it's carcinogenic, and we all agree it's carcinogenic. But other questions, yeah, please. Rhodamin. So we have a very, very knowledgeable minister. Thank you. Any questions from the audience? Anybody would like to ask?
Hello.
Good morning, Mr. Gundu Rao. And it was a pleasure hearing you. A minister speaking with such knowledge is quite rare. We don't usually
It's
hear.
not actually that rare.
No, it's
I
quite
think
rare.
ministers have got lot of knowledge.
A
I
minister
think
who has,
maybe-
a knowledge about a subject.
Okay.
It was like
There are many
mesmerizing.
ministers who have knowledge of subject also.
Yeah. It
So
was
I
quite
don't think that's accurate.
Yeah, it
statement.
was quite mesmerizing what you spoke, and it really gives us a good feeling that we have anything, we can always come back to you for it. But I have a question, like being in the food industry myself and quality conscious, we see a lot of street vendors still. The licensing and the regulation at the lower levels are absolutely not present. You can see every colony, every area having, those street vendors selling Manchurian or fish fries or chicken fries, just on the footpaths. So we still don't see any department taking care of that, whether they are legitimate or, you try to give licenses to them or make them educated about food safety. There's nothing about hygiene or food safety. So what is your take on that? What are you trying to do as a Minister of Health and Family Welfare in respect to those street vendors who are present in Bangalore all across?
See, street vendors have always been there from time immemorial. They've always been there. But I think for our food safety standards, now we've been telling our food safety officers to, start inspecting and, start, taking samples from them, see how they are, whether there is any problem in those samples and any issues are there. So we are doing that. Like I said, it is food safety inspectors and the officers that we have. There is a limited number of staff, and we cannot check each and every food vendor. But I think now we are trying to increase the interaction with them, and see that they don't use wrong sort of chemicals or wrong sort of preservative or wrong sort of food items to make the food taste better or look better. So that is what we are trying to do. Ultimately, they come from the lower sections, poorer sections, and we cannot just close them down and pack them up and send them away, because it's a living for them. So we are now increasing it. We are increasing the interactions with them and trying to educate them, because you got to work with them. We can't just say that you shut down, close down. You got to work with them. And hopefully, things will get better. Especially what we find is this use of water, like this pani puri and all that. There we are finding a lot of issues. So I think that is something that we are looking at it more closely, what to do and and how to sort of work on that. But it requires more work from our side, and we have actually initiated, for the last 4-5 months, we've taken a lot of initiative on that.
Just to supplement on that, Karnataka government has taken a lot of initiative in training the street food vendors. Like Vivipuram, we had sensitization in Tumkur, in Hubli. So many places, both Sarika and myself, we have done some training program. Government has been very forthcoming in terms of training these people. The number of street food vendors are huge. It takes some time, some years, some efforts. Continued support from the government as well, state government as well. Partnership with organizations like us would help in building that capability. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
No.
Oh, they can think too much. Let's close it.
No, I'm sure after listening to your speech, everybody is confident that you're doing the job. So we don't have to ask you any questions. So I would really like to thank the Honorable Minister for giving his time and being here out of his very, very packed schedule. I can understand what it means. We are on one side of town, he's from in the other side of town. But I'm sure he's managed his schedule well. So thank you so much for being with us here, sir. And we would like to present a small memento. So thank you so much, sir. It was really an honor having you here. And we look forward to collaborating with you. We will accept your invitation, obviously, saying, and we'll meet you after this conclave.